Okay, now we're here. Oh, I hate Microsoft, and I hate Microsoft Windows updates because every time they update their system, it really messes with my system, and then I have to start all over again. And it seems like they are doing that regularly. So, everybody, welcome very much to the stream. Today we are going to start delving into some of the invoicing and invoice sections of our digital register. So let's go into our new register. And these are some of this should be kind of like right where we left off, right in this little spot. And I believe this is our template. So I wanted to, later on in the episode, I want to show you how to make really super cool buttons, because you can make really super cool buttons. Sorry about that. I will get that turned off. There we go. Because we can make really super cool buttons, really super cool looking buttons. And I want to show you guys how to do that. It just takes a little bit of artistic ability and just kind of make it, so that they're neat, so your system looks as professional as possible. Your homework will be, if you have inventory, to start putting that inventory into the system. But let's fix the inventory really fast, because that's kind of where we were at last. So what we did with the inventory was we created these little boxes. Well, oddly enough, we kind of put them in the wrong place. That's not what we want to do with those little boxes. So the sub price, let's just go in and fix this really quick. So let's manage our database. And now what we have is the sum sale price and the sum, which is the total of the price. That's not going to work for what we want it to work for. So we need to add a couple of little fields, and you'll get where I'm going with this really super quick. So the first thing that we need to do is I'm going to do I'm going to call this total. No. Let's see. Cost total. If I can learn how to spell. And this is going to be a calculation. And we will create it. Now, what this cost total is going to be is it's going to be the location 1 plus location 2, and then multiply that by the price. Okay, we're just going to do this really fast. So I'm going to do field picker. And this is just one of them that we're doing. So currently, cost total. So we're going to grab it. Let's make sure that we don't have any thingies there first. Grab it, stick it there. Now if we exit the layout, you have, so this is working perfectly. So you have a quantity of 10 in one store, quantity of 10 in your other store, or in a different location. So you have or 25. So you have a total of 35 of them times $1. So you now have $35 invested in that product. So that's your cost. And here you have the quantity of 50, that's 100 times your dollar, it's $100. So now we need to do the exact same thing for your retail value. So let's go back into Edit Layout, Manage Database, and we're going to create, I'm just going to type in retail value because I don't want to, I want to know what this stuff is. I don't want to mess with it. I just want to be able to create it and know what it is right away and be like, oh, okay, I know that's retail value because that's what it just says. Of course, I just, let's go back and fix that. Retail value. And the retail value is going to be a calculation. And we'll create it. And that's going to be our location 1, I'm just double clicking on it, plus the location 2 inventory times the sale price, because that's what we're charging people for, that's the sale price. And we'll say OK. And now what we want to do is our sum summary sale price, we need to change that. So we're going to double click on it because it's not going to be of the sale price. This is going to be a summary of the retail value. And then our sum price is a total of our cost total. And so now if we come down here, we grab our field picker, make sure that we're not doing that. We take our retail value one, we put it out here, right on the market. Now what we need to do is these two, we just need to move them over here so that they're in the center of where we want them to be. So let's do, what we can do is you can put like a, I'm going to grab this one really quick and just control drag it. Because I do kind of like, you know, so I do like to use labels at times. Cost totals. And we'll click off, press our control button, move that over. Retail values. Okay. Boy, I'm just unable to spell today for some odd reason. Okay, so if we click on this one, we can move it over until it's right dead in the center. Come on. Sometimes you have to like move it way out there. Or sometimes you just have to get it looking right. We're just going to go with that. So now if we exit the layout, now what we see is we have $135 invested, and our gain from that retail sales $161.25. So now we can see what the total of each category is. So in candy, so in bubblegum and jawbreakers, we basically have $161.25 in retail value product that we can sell. So that gives us a better sense of where we are. Edit the layout really fast. I am going to grab these two, make sure that we get them in the center. Make sure we get them in the center. Grab all 4 of them. And I want the inspector. And it should be data. Because this currency is currency. And you got to be careful not to use your scroll wheel, because if you use your scroll wheel on the currency thing, it'll change it to percentage or whatever else. So fixed number of decibels, that's what we want. So there it is, fixed number of decibels, and system settings. So we are good to go. Now if we exit, everything is dead in the center just like it's supposed to be. It all comes out. These are really cool because you can come in and you can highlight them and you can bold them. Or you can change the color if you want to so that it's different. And you can put like the word totals here if you want to, whatever that case is. So now if we exit, they're bolded. You can make them a little bit bigger if you want to, whatever the case is. But now it's different, and you can see at a glance exactly what you need to see. Fill in your inventory. Don't worry about it. If there is some minor changes that we're going to make in the future, it will reflect across the board, and everything will work out just fine. So make sure that you start putting in your inventory now, because that can be a very long-winded process, and you have to have the inventory in place and then print off a list, because you're going to need to know what the number is, what these product numbers are. I like to start with 4 digits or 5 digits, whatever the case is. So if you want to on your, we need to make these, don't we? We need to make these so they're unchangeable. But now if you go to, and just FYI, now if you go into admin inventory, watch what happens. That stuff doesn't exist. It's not there anymore. Because once you start adding to fields and you start checking on fields in one particular window or layout, you start making changes to that layout, it's going to be just to that layout. And that's the reason why I said, when we get this completely done on our inventory, we'll go back and do it. So don't worry about it. We're going to delete this admin inventory page, and we will just recreate it later on, because you guys saw how easy it was to do, right? It was pretty simple to do. So, and you don't need to change the inventory input. You don't need to worry about that. I'm going to show you guys how to make that very secure, so that the only people that are putting information into the system are those people who are authorized to put information into the system. But we're not too worried about that right now. What we're worried about is we need to get the inventory up and running. We need to get those numbers so that we know what all those numbers are. It doesn't matter. Some people start with 5 or 6 numbers or 8 or 10 numbers or whatever the case is, just so that they're like very, very different, but it doesn't matter. It can be this, if you have 999 products or 10,000 products even, you can start with 0. You could start with 100. It doesn't matter. I started with 100 because I like at least 3 digits in my number, so that it's, when you're searching for it or when your program is searching for it, you're good to go. Okay, so let's go to edit layout. We're going to manage our database. And let's look at our tables. So we have an invoice table and a register table. So in the invoice table, let's get started on putting some fields in there, and then we will create our invoice and our register. So in the invoice section, we want to start creating. So an ID, and I'm going to press Control N because I want that to be a number. I want the product ID, and that can also be a number. Product name, that can be a text, so I'm just going to switch it to text really fast. And then I want quantity, that's obviously going to be a number. Now I'm just using my hotkeys, and so my hotkeys are Control, and if you just go over here and you look at this, it'll tell you what your hotkeys are. So Control T is text, and for like a summary, Control S, Control L for a calculation. It's all written right there. Control N. Those are the two that I use the most. So whether they're a text or a number, those two have to be right in the very beginning. Those are my two biggest ones that I use constantly. So we got our quantity. Now what I want is I want the non-taxable. I'm sorry for that buzzing or that dinging, but I own a business, and so when people are coming in and out of the business, to buy products or whatever, you'll hear that buzzer go off because that just lets other people that are here know that they need to go and take care of the people. So I want a non-taxable, and that's going to be a number. So we'll just create that. And then I need a, I'm going to need a price. So let me type in price. That'll be a number. Then line total. That will also be a number. Invoice ID. That will also be a number. What else do I need? Just looking at some quick. Okay, so we can probably put, because we want to keep these together. So let's do a let's do a subtotal. That's going to be a number. Actually, the subtotal, is going to be a calculation. But let's create it as a number right now. So let's do this. Line total is a calculation, so we need to change it. Change. Okay. And it's going to give you that little warning, you know, hey, be careful, you're making changes and those changes will reflect throughout the system. We obviously don't want to make changes to your system while it's up and running. I mean, not major changes, so don't do that. And don't copy, if you don't see me copy something, do not do it. This particular program is so glitchy that it will steal data from one place and move it to another place, or it will just eliminate data altogether if you don't put your things in the right places. You know, make sure that your relationships are use the relationships that I tell you to use. You can listen to all these other weirdos out there, but probably not a good idea. Okay, so our line total is going to be our quantity, and it's going to be multiplied by the price that we're charging people. So that, therefore, if you have 5 products, or they're buying 5 Jawbreakers, and you put 5 Jawbreakers in there, you're not just charging them for 1, you're charging them for all 5. Okay, so that's what our line total is actually going to be. And the invoice number is going to be a serial number. And I'm going to tell you how I like to do this. So I like to use a huge number because I like to make sure that I can control my invoicing. And so if you have like a couple of different registers, let's say you want, let's say in your store, it's a big, it's a little store, but it's big enough that there's you and your wife, or you and your son, or you and an employee, and you're both running the store. That you can both run different registers, and run different invoices at the same time. If that is the case, then we need to duplicate everything that we're doing again. So we need to recreate an entirely new invoice. So you have 2 of them. Don't just copy and paste or duplicate these. You literally have to go through and redo everything that we're doing now. You have to do it twice, because if you don't do that, what ends up happening is you marry those 2 invoicing sections together. And then if you marry them, now there are two different ways of doing this. But if you marry them, they can take information from each other, and that may and or may not work for you and or what you want to do. So on the serial number, I like to do 1 and then 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the reason why is because I will never use that many digits. So this is register 1 first, right off the line. So the first 2 numbers are identifier numbers for me, so that I know what register actually used it. So, or created it. So how this invoice was actually created. And we will say, okay. Automatically enter the data, serial number, creation. Serial number on creation by increments of 1. Good. And that's exactly what we want. Okay, so now our subtotal is going to be a summary. And that summary needs to be a calculation of, but it's not going to be a calculation, it's just going to be a summary. So we're going to change it. So it's going to be a total of our line totals, all of our line total products. So that way, in the system, how it works is you'll have all your product in one side, and then it will start taking those numbers and it will tabulate them on the other side. So just do it just like this. It will work perfectly. Okay, so now we have a subtotal in our system. Now, if your place of business charges tax, like a local or state tax, we need to add the tax. So what we'll do is we are going to have, I'm just going to write in state tax, all one word. It's not like I'm going to use these a lot, so let's just make this as simple and as basic for you as possible, because after a while it gets very, very, very confusing, because you're looking for a box, you're looking for a field, and you're going, where is this field? What did I name it? So just be super simple with your names. So this is going to be a calculation. We're going to create it. And what the calculation is going to be, what is your tax rate? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it 15%? I mean, what tax rate are you guys using? Here in Wyoming, we use a pretty simple tax rate, and it's 5%. So what we do is we take the subtotal and we multiply that. So I find that little multiplier, and then we times that by 1.05. Pretty simple. Call it okay. Now you could put the 1.05 inside of a container if you wanted to. So I could do this times 1.05. Okay. Now that's what it will do. So and you'll see when we get in there, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. So now that's actually what it's going to do. And now what we need is a summary of our non-taxable product. So let's just do S non-taxable. So now it's non-taxable, but it's a summary. But you could write sub-summary, or you could write whatever you wanted to. This is just as easy for me. I'm good with that. And it is a summary. Create. And it is a summary of all the non-taxable product that we're selling. Oh, wait just a minute. Or non-taxable. So non-taxable is like here in Wyoming, a food product. Like if someone buys a thing of water, it's non-taxable. So you can't, like a bottle of water, it's non-taxable. So if you charge $1 for it, it's $1. And you can't, if you don't want to add tax to absolutely everything, you want to just add tax to certain things. So the non-taxable is incorrect, because this, no, don't save, cancel. Where am I at? Cancel, what? Okay, let's just delete this. Now, because these things, you have to do them in steps. You can't just, okay, so non-taxable is actually needs to be a calculation, right? Because that would be incorrect. So we're going to change it, and you have to do it first. So it's going to be quantity times non-taxable. No. Nope, 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 nope. We missed something in there. Cancel that. So cancel, delete. Okay. We need a non-taxable line total. We need a line total for non-taxable. So no tax total, that is a calculation. We will create it, and now it's going to be the quantity. Quantity, I could have swore I double clicked on that. I did. Quantity times non-taxable. Okay, we're good to go. And now we need a summary of the no tax total. So you could just come over here and you can do S underscore summary. I usually do underscores just because I get like that little separator part that tells me, you know, summary. So it's S underscore, and I know anything that's S underscore is a summary. We're going to create that, and what that is that is a no tax total, a summary or a total of our no tax total. Okay. Now what we need is a total due. Total due. And that is a calculation. And we will create that. And so the total due is it's going to be our subtotal plus our state tax plus our summary no tax, or yeah, no tax total. So that will add, it'll add the tax, it'll add the subtotal. So like, you sold 10 suckers, so it's $10 for the suckers plus the tax plus that bottle of water. So it's like $10.50, would be $11.50, let's just say. So that would make it perfect. Correct. Okay. So there's plus, plus, plus. Okay. Subtotal plus, subtax plus, non-tax total. Great. And now let's do a change due. Now change due is, I'm getting ahead of myself. Amount tendered. Let's do the amount tendered first. So how much did they give you? How much cash did they actually give you? That's what we're looking at. And that's a number. So and it's obviously a positive number. So now we can do that. And now we can do the change due. And that is actually a calculation. Great. So that calculation is going to be total due minus amount tendered. Or maybe it's amount tendered times, or minus amount tendered minus total due. One of them gives you a positive number and one of them gives you a negative number. but right off the top of my head, I can't remember which one it is. So, but this is fine for now. Just leave it like that. If we need to make some minor changes, at least we have the category correct. We have the niche correct. We know what we're doing. So let's leave it like that for now. And we'll call it good. So the change due is basically just the total due amount minus the amount they paid. And there, see, we did make a mistake. It is the opposite direction. So let's double click it. So it's the amount tendered minus the total due. See, I knew. I just needed a cup of coffee. It's all good though. We made it. Okay, so that should do, I believe that should do for this particular, because this is invoice, 15 fields. I think we're good with that. So now we need to go to the register side. And we need an ID FK, and that is a number. We need a date, and that is a date. Create, and we need a timestamp, and that is a timestamp, which is a control M. And we need a security box. And I'm just going to do text because it can be numbers or letters or whatever you want it to be. That's fine. We need to do an override. That can also be a text. These are all just security box issues or security box things that we need to put in there. And what else can I possibly think of that we might be missing? I think we have it. I think we have it. So now let's go back to invoice, to ID. That is a number that we create that is on creation, the invoice ID number. And we just wanted to create and generate a new one. Automatically enter the following data in this field. Oh, it's a serial number on creation. Starts by 1, goes up. No big deal. Let's make that happen. Okay. Now this is where things get a little weird, because now we're going to marry these turkeys. We're going to make them into little baby invoicings. Not just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we have the invoice and the register, and we need to marry these two together. So one of the cool things that you can do with these is you can change the color of them. Let's see, how did I change? Oh, here's the little color wheel thing. So you can make one of them purple, make one of them red, make Tim's register green, because Tim likes green, menu blue. You don't have to do that. You can do anything you want to, and you could just move these around. But I will tell you, the only relationship that you're going to have in this entire thing is going to be between your invoice and your register. And so we are going to take the ID and marry it with the IDFK. And we're going to double click on this little equal sign. And we're going to allow the creation of records in this tape and allow creation of records in the other one. Now you can allow the deletion of records if you want to, but deleting a record is probably not a great thing for an invoice. So you don't really want to just get rid of an invoice. You want to kind of keep it in the system, right? Sort records. So you can sort records. We don't really care about sorting the records. but the ID is equal to the IDFK, so that's perfect. Okay. Now, if we go back to our fields, we see we have 15 fields in the invoice section. In the register section, we have 5 of them. So we should be good. Now let's go create a new layout. New layout. And we want this one to be off of our register. And we are going to call this, you can call it anything you want to. You can call it invoice. That's what I call it, is invoice. And you can do invoice 1, invoice 5, invoice, whatever you want. So, but just remember, if you're doing several of them, so we're going to just call this one invoice, and if we do another one in invoice, then we'll change that. And this one's going to be a form view, by the way. Finish it out. Okay. So I want this. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this turkey out. And appearance, position. And I want to, I can just go right here and I can type 1275. If I type it correctly, 1275 by, come on, tab. My computer just like stopped. Woo. Make a few minor changes and the whole system goes, what are you doing, Tim? Okay, so we want this to be 1275 by 750. That's kind of like, that's my perfect little thing. So 1275, but obviously we need to change the header, and the minute you start changing the header, anybody remember what the header height was? 130. So now, see how it just changes all that stuff? So now we actually have to bring this whole system up. Come on. Serious. Okay. Now if we go 1275, that's exactly where I want it, 1275. And we, like I said, we want it 750 deep. We don't care about the footer. The footer is not a big thing. And the cool thing is when you're moving it, you can see the little numbers being produced. So you'd be like, oh, okay, I know, 750, right? But this may be, see now it says 785. So this, it works off of the line that you're working on. Come on. 750. Well, I'm just going to give up here in just a second. Because I think this total box is 8 something. Okay. That's perfect. That's exactly where we're on it. So the very first thing we're going to do is we need to add some text really quick so that we kind of know where we are or what we're doing. We can Control M. We could do that really fast and make this a date. So now we know, you have to click off of it in order to actually move it. But I want this to be 24 because I'm kind of a big 24 guy, and I want it to be yellow because I'm kind of a big yellow guy. I'll put it right over here, right at the beginning. Put some text in really fast. I'm going to call this invoice. And I really hate it when it does that. Like I said, there are some glitches to the system. because I didn't do anything. I just set it there. 72, because we like 72. Put it right there. Put this one a little farther down. And now what I want to do is I want to grab, I want to do text. Now you could put your logo and other stuff over here. Right now I'm just going to do some buttons. I'm going to do some really quick buttons. We're going to need like 4 of them. So one of them is basically you just want it to return to the menu. Pretty simple. But I want it to do nothing currently. So we're just going to control copy these. You may not need all 4 of them, but I like to have 4 of them. Okay. This one is all the way at the bottom, position 1244 right. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Do you see this where I've got 1244 right here? What I'm looking at is how far over there is it, because I don't want to go beyond like 1250, because I want to still be able to see it on my iPad Air. So just make sure that it's in the right spot. And now we need a portal tool. So here's the portal tool. Excuse me. And now we're going to show related records from Invoice. And we're going to say OK. And so now it's going to want to know what information do you want inside of your portal. Well, we need the product ID number. It's kind of like a big thing. So we can move the product ID number. We need the product name. We need the quantity, the non-taxable, the prices, the line total, no tax total, and that's it. And so now it just throws them in there randomly, but you can move them anywhere you want to. So your product ID, it just needs to be really tiny. It doesn't need to be really big, or you can place it underneath something else. So what I like to do is I like to take my quantity and place it over the top of my product ID. And then you can hide your product ID by just simply going in and saying, I want to arrange, bring it to the front. And so now there will never, of course you have to, the funny thing is you have to have, like this product ID thing, you have to make it disappear. So you can't, you like have to have the right, what am I looking for? You have to make sure that there's no box. So when we go into appearance, we want to make sure that there is no line that circles the box. The text color can be nothing. So text color none. And here it says line none. So we're good to go. We're good to go. That's all we really need to do. Now if we go back to our quantity. We can put our quantity right on top of it. And the cool thing is you need to have that in there so that the system understands that it is there, because otherwise it will just read from a random wherever, and so it has to physically be on the page. Okay. So then the next thing that we have is we have the product name. This I want in the center. I want that in the center. Then we have product name, and then we have non-taxable, price, line totals, and no tax totals. So the non-taxable total should be right here. So I'm going to move this one over here. I'm going to use my non-taxable total, or my non-taxable and my non-taxable total. I'm going to put these two on top of each other. Actually, this one, you see, I need to do it in such a fashion as that I get it down. So this, move it over here, put this one all the way in the far side. Okay, so the non-taxable one, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the number, right? So here, we go here, no color, no line. And then this number, non-tax total, because that's what we're mainly interested in, is the totals of these. And this one, we need to make sure that the data reflects that it is a currency, and that that currency is a fixed number of decibels, and they're on system settings. And now you have to do the same thing to do with your price and your line total. So your price, you don't really care to see, right? So the price, we'll go back to appearance, and we will make, why is it showing me that it has a line? No, it doesn't. Fill, none. New Times Roman. Oh, here we go. 0, line none. Perfect. Now the line total. Okay. Line total, you should be able to see it, blah, 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 all that neat stuff. Now this is going to be pretty small, so if you wanted to, you needed to, or if you want to, you have to, if you press and hold the shift button, you can select all of them, right? So select them all. It's pretty hard to select them all, to be honest with you, because the other ones, they just kind of disappear. But as 13 points, that's going to be pretty tiny, so you kind of need to make it 24 points, or you need to make it a bigger number so you can see what it is. You don't have to. You can be, I think mine is actually running on 14 or 18 points. I think 18 points is correct for mine. But you have to make sure that these things fit in there. And if you mess up, it's not that big a deal. Delete it. It's done. It's over with. So just come back, grab a portal tool, start a portal. Here, see, you can't do anything right now. Invoice. I don't want it to sort it. Number of rows, 16, whatever. Remember which ones? Product ID, product name, quantity, non-taxable, price, line total, no total tax. Ta-da! And they're all back there. So if you do mess up, it's not that big a deal to fix it. That was the point of my thing. So here, what you want to do is, if you hold the shift button down, you can select them all of them that you have on the page. And now we can make them 14, 16, or 18. So we can have them 18. But just remember that if you're doing an 18 and you have to move this, that it moves everything because it leaves 16 rows. So if you're going to do 16 rows, you're going to have to do 12 rows. Change the, see what I just did? Because if you're going to make this bigger, you're going to have to get rid of those rows. But one of the cool things about this portal setup is you can actually allow vertical scrolling, so that people can just go through and scroll through there. Oh look, oh yeah, I see what's in there. I don't see what's in there. So you can allow vertical scrolling. Ta-da! Pretty simple. And now you can move the whole thing wherever you want to. I like to have mine relatively close to the top, so because I usually have things underneath of it. So this one is what is this one? I don't know. Product ID. Okay, so the product ID, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because, I mean, how many are you going to sell? 150 of them? And I am going to appearance. New Times Roman, but no color. Okay. Quantity, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller because how many are you going to have? And put the quantity right there. And then product name right next to it. And now we have to do our price and our line totals. Those have to marry each other. So the no tax total, just pick it up and move it over here. Non-tax. Non-tax total. We'll put it right on top of it. Price. The cool thing is when it runs into something, it runs up against something, it usually, it tells you. Okay, I ran up against that. Now what do you want me to do? Because it'll be like, see, I ran up against that other box. That's what it's telling me, is it ran up against the other box. And now you have your product name, which you can increase. So now you've got like all of this stuff, all this space. If you want to know where everything is at, just highlight it by grabbing it like that, and but the funny thing is, once you create a portal, you can't make a lot of changes to it. So you want to make sure that you get your portal set and you do it correctly. So now we are going to have the quantity, the product name and or description, so we know what that product is. So people will be like, I got 5 of these, and then this is your tax, this is your non-tax. So this is the taxed one, and this is your non-taxed one. But we do want to create a button too. So let's create a little button. So we're going to create just a little button, but that button has to, lock, stock, and barrel, be inside of this unit. And we're just going to call this button X. Currently we just want it to do nothing. But we do want that X to be a little bit bigger. We want it to be 18. We want it to be super bold. We want it to be, you can pick whatever thing that you want to be. Black, Arial block. And you can make this button smaller and make it red, or probably should make it like red. Maybe what I should do is I should make it a solid color, make it red, and then I can take the there. Ta-da! Now we got a red button. That basically what that's going to do is it'll delete everything that's on that line, everything that's on the portal roll line. So if you made a mistake and you put something on the line, now this is where you might, if you want to delete something from a line, you have an ability to create a preformation script. So I think that's about in the center there. So that looks pretty good. So now if we exit the layout, guess what you're going to see? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let's go back to edit layout. Okay. What I mean by that is we can get our field picker here, and we can put in oh, excuse me, an override box, so that when someone presses this button, that they have to put in a code in order to override. And that code, the scripting that you put on that, can be like, you can assign different people numbers. So you can be like, you know, Tom is 123 and Jane is 124 and Tim is 125, whatever. And then when you assign those people that number, you put that number goes into the system as it says if it is one of these numbers. So if it's, you know, if it's not empty, okay, but then you would want to collect that number and then transport it into a different system and say, or a different what am I looking for, into a different layout where you would actually keep track of all of those, so that if someone did delete it, you'd say, this is what they deleted, this is what came off of the record. Pretty simple. And if you guys want to see that, just let me know. Let me know in the thing if you want the security backup for that actually put on there or not, because sometimes it's a good idea to have it and sometimes it's not, because it just creates, especially if you're in a fast-paced store and you just want to sell stuff, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to put that number in every single time that you want to delete something off of the deal. But that's where this override button, or this override box, actually comes in handy, is that you can put the override up here or wherever you want to. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to put security box right above it. Shift on both of them, because I like I said, I like the 18s. Okay. Want them both in the center. Decrease the size. Okay. And now we have our security boxes that you can put pretty much anywhere you want to, and you can change the color of them, you can, you know, whatever. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm holding the shift button, I'm collecting all of these. I should control Z because I really messed up, because I want these to be a little smaller. I don't want them quite as big as they are. I think I'll go 14. Better go 18. Just like seeing it, you know. I want to be able to see what what I'm doing. Okay, now I can move these. You just can't move them when you're holding on to the shift button or the control button. Okay. You guys know me, I like color, right? So I'm going to put my standard yellow in there. I'll put these all the way over there. Okay. Now the other things that we need to do is we need to add some more of our fields. What other fields do we want to add? Well, we need to add fields from the invoice, right? So we need like an invoice ID. We're going to drag that over here, line it up, bring it out quite a bit because it is a pretty big number. And then our subtotal no tax, I'm going to bring that down here and I'm going to put it right in line with that one. And we should have a subtotal. Just like that. And the funny thing is you can have more than one of the exact same field on the page. So now if I move this over here a little bit, I can put a subtotal right in the top. Subtotal. And then after total or subtotal we're going to do state tax. And then we're going to do probably our no tax total. And then that should give us a total due. An amount tendered. Change due. So now I can highlight all of these, put my field picker over there because I don't really care to have them there. I'm gonna make these giant because I want to see them. I should have put a little bit more space in between them, huh? Delete. Subtotal. Put my subtotal out here. My tax, my no tax total. This time I'm just going to give them some space. My no tax total, my total due, my amount tendered, my change. Okay. I'm going to select them all. Make them bigger. Make them a little bit bigger. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my 24. Ta-da! And now I'm going to change these so that they're all dead in the center. 2, 2. Okay. Should be 2, 2. If your thing isn't in the center, no big deal. Just move those little numbers that I just showed you and they'll be just fine. So now what I want to do is I want to like align these, right? So because they're kind of far apart from each other and I'm like, wow, I don't want to spend all day, you know, making these like because it's kind of a pain in the butt, right? So it's like, I won't take up too much space. Okay. So there they are. But now if you just circle them all, it's such an easy thing to do. Just go into your positions. And we're going to align them on a vertical center. And then we want to space them, distribute vertically. So now they're all exactly perfect. Now if we collect them all, excuse me, by goodness, I just have the sneezes today. We want to get that right in the center like that, so we went ahead and we picked the center. And now we can move these however we want. Now these are, every one of these is monetary, right? Every one of them is a currency. So we just did them all. Fixed number of positions, system settings. Pretty simple. We're going to move these. I want it to look pretty good. So you can put this anywhere that you want. And you can put a picture, you can download a picture of your logo and just kind of plaster it right here in this section. You could, whatever you want. It's such a uniquely wonderful thing. But we do need a popover button, and we need a couple of popover buttons. And I like to have these buttons relatively good size. And we're just going to close the popover, so because these are monetary, so these are money type things, so we can just be like money. That's fine. Call it good. But we do want to make sure that we get a good 24 on there. And our size, keep them the same. Okay. And now the cool thing is you can take these and you can just copy it. So Control, one of them will be cash, one of them will be credit, and the third one will be split pay. Okay? Cash, credit, split pay. And so what we're going to have inside of there is a couple of buttons. So we're going to need a button. Instead of a popover, just create a button. And try to make that button the same. And verify. So this button is going to currently do nothing because I don't want it to do anything. But the verify button is 14, 18, 24. The verify button does for us is it allows us to, because some people accidentally push a button, they're like, oh, it's cash, and they push, and it's like, oh no, it's credit. Well, in the business, you kind of got to know where all that stuff is at. You have to, especially here, because we're gonna be keeping track of that. So here's our verify button, 22, 22, 22, and it'll obviously be green, and then. So this one we will make like a green color. I actually made mine a solid color, and then I just made it green. A nice dark green. And then the writing on the thing I made white. And I think I used just Arial black. But I don't like that aerial block. So I'm gonna change it to something else. Calibri looks pretty good. We'll call that good. But I think this is just a hair too dark. There we go. And you can put like a yellow ring around it or whatever. But so if I take this and I hold on the control button and I create another one, double click on this one, and notice I did it before doing anything else because I don't want to put anything on it, because the minute you change it, the minute you make this button into something and then you recreate it, you've just made a mistake. Unless you want that button to do the exact same thing the other button did plus what you add to it. And it's not as easy as you think, because it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. But this one, the way that I'm showing you how to do it, it will work every time, period, no matter what. So this one, we're going to change the color. We want it to be red. Verify, cancel. Simple. Simple as that. So now if we go into money, and we now have this new popover that we have, you can bring the popover to the other side, which is what I did. Select these two, put them inside of your popover. Make your popover fit better. Ah, I had him right dead in the center. Okay. Close it up. And you change the color of this outline if you want to too. So it's, and it doesn't have to say popover. This, and as a matter of fact, mine doesn't. So mine says cash sales on this one. So that, and this one would say cash, and it would be a specific color. And this will be also in your homework tonight, guys, or your homework this week, is to make sure that you are getting these exactly the way that you want to. One thing that we will talk about really super fast is if you're running two different registers, same product, same everything, but you want to just split the invoices so that one register, or you want to be able to run two tablets at the same time so that you and another person can make sales in the same store on the same day at the same time, and not compete or conflict with each other. How you can do that is pretty simple. Before you start assigning anything, you would have to create another invoice, but you can go into manage your database and just duplicate these fields. What I mean by that is you'd still need an ID. You can't just you can't hold down, click, and do your shift and go to the bottom and just copy and paste. That's not what I mean by duplicate. To do it correctly, what you should do is you should IDFK, date, timestamp, security box, override 2. So you would have a register 2, and then all of those would have a 2 at the end of them. Just recreate them. So now when you go into your tables, you'll have invoice register, invoice 1 or invoice 2, register 2. And then those two need to be married the same as we did these two. Because these two will not function independently of each other. Register, when you were building a register, you have to have your portal and you have to have these things married. But your data is safe. That's the good thing. That's the good thing. If you do it the way that I'm telling you how to do it, your data will be safe and sound, and you won't have to worry about it disappearing on you. Okay, so now we have the timestamp. And what I like to do with the timestamp is you put it right down here next to that. And what the timestamp does for me is once that you create a record, bam, it's that way I know I sold 10 cans of soda and a lollipop to a child at 12:42 a.m. or p.m. whatever. You know exactly when an invoice was created. And that's what you want. You want this to be a creation tool. Okay, and that's all that you're going to need out of the register part. And now if you go to invoicing part, product ID, quantity, blah, 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 state tax, no tax amount, tender change due. Perfect. Perfect. We have them all. So you will have this verify and cancel on all three of these. This one, double click, come on. Apparently it doesn't like me. Click off. Okay, this one's going to be cash. Sale. This one is going to be a credit sale. And what's funny is before we make any changes, I'm going to collect this one, hold the shift, collect that one, hold, now change to the control button. Grab them both, slide them up here, let go of the control button, push the control button, shift, control button, create another set of them. There. Now we have 3 sets of them. Sometimes though it is kind of a pain. If you are making them identical to each other, be careful, because what happens a lot of times that I notice is people will, when they push a button, if there's nothing different, they don't notice anything different, then they're just like, oh, well, I know I did cash sale. Seriously? No, you did not do cash sale. So let's do this. Let's do cash sale, and then let's do this color. We're going to make a light green. And I think the padding is a little steep, but that's okay. We don't want an outer shadow. Okay. That looks good. You can change the thickness. You can change all of the other stuff. That's no big deal, but let's get rid of that. Let's go into this credit card sales one. Grab 2 of our Control Z. Grab 2 of our deals. Get them moved over here. Gotta tell you, sometimes camera systems just make you want to vomit. Okay, this one, we don't want it to be brown, do we, guys? No. What color do we want it? We want it to be blue, right? Blue. Blue is credit card. So, and then let's close that one out really quick. And this one is going to be, come on, this one's going to be split pay. And so that way, if people have some cash and they want to put the rest on a credit card, they can do it pretty simply and pretty easily, and you can do it as well. But we will have to build a few more boxes for that. No big deal. We will make it happen. Let's move these over here. And personally, I like personally, I like to make this one purple because I am kind of a big fan on that being purple. Purple. And so my split pay thingy, I usually do solid colors on these. I just do. So my solid color on this one is going to be a dark or darker purple color. And the print is going to be white. And my credit card sale, you guys remember what color these were? Green. So this one's going to be a solid color. I want that solid color to be green. And my text to be white. And my credit card sale is blue. Solid color. Blue. I want to go a little bit of a lighter color blue. There. I like that. That looks pretty cool, right? And we can change the color of the print. You don't have to have white print. It doesn't matter if you want black print in all of yours. It doesn't matter if you want bold, if you want how you want to change it. If you grab them all, you can bold all of them. You can not bold all of them. It doesn't matter, however you want to do it. If you want it to be lighter color, a different color. If you want to change the color when you push it, you can do that too. But now we're going to go into position. And we are going to align them vertically really quick, and we're going to make sure that they're right, the right distance apart from each other. Now, you will need to put in a cancel button. You will need a button that dismisses and or cancels and or eliminates an invoice altogether with a permission code. So what I like to do is I like to take a button and make it the same size, because that's what that is, right? Button. I like to make the button the same size as the rest of them. Well, let's see about that. Because this button isn't a button even at all. And this button, we will call it, if we can get it to work, dismiss. And the text color, we want it to be yellow. And the box color, we want it to be red. Oop. I want it to be a solid color. Sometimes I just get a little too far ahead. So there. So now the dismiss button will work. But it will have to perform a script. We will make it perform a script where you have to, there has to be a number in the override or the security box or whatever the case is. And that number has to be a specific number. The very same way that we did our admin control to get into the admin inventory. You guys remember doing that in the last video? That's going to be the exact same method that we use here. You put in the data, things like that happen. Okay, so let's go to really quick. I don't know how long have I been streaming, about an hour and a half. Let's go into really quickly on our do you guys remember we were doing a menu pages? I wanna look at that menu page really quick, our template, because I want to make sure menu and template. Okay. So we have our number lock. That's a big thing. That's a big thing, guys. Is our number lock. But we do need a quantity box, right? So we have this. We have category, drinks. Whatever. Let's get rid of this one. Just delete it. Get rid of this box. Delete it. Okay. We don't have a box where we can actually put in like a number, be like, I want to sell 5 of these, right? So we're going to do that right now. And how we're going to do that is, oh, that thing is blinking at me. Save me, save me, save me. Okay. Because we're basically in the menu section. So let's go into manage our database. And we're in a menu. And so we have a login box, a number lock, a passcode box, and a date. We need a quantity box, don't we? So let's go into the fields of our menu. And we're going to put in quantity. And the quantity is going to be a number. So no matter what, it's going to be a number. Create. Okay. So now if we go into field picker, we should have a quantity box. There it is. And we don't want it to be any different. So we're just going to come over here, make it bigger. Make it bigger. I want this to be like one of the easiest things in the world for you to use. And we want it to be centered. Perfect. And we want it to be centered. Okay. So now if we exit the layout, we'll see a box. If you touch that box on your computer screen, on your tablet, then you can put a quantity into it. But we're going to want to create, see how you can just put a quantity into it. But what's odd is look at how high it is when it should have been dead center, right? So let's edit the layout. I think the reason why is because it created a dual system. So six. Let me see. Where are we at, Tim? $16. 10. There we go. Now it's better. It's more in the center. Okay, see that? See how I'm doing that? Actually, I had to go to like 15 or whatever just to get it to be in the center of that box. But we want a placeholder in the box, right? So if we go to you guys remember which one it is? Data. So placeholder text. Placeholder text when it's in there. What do we want it to say? QNTY. We want it to say QNTY when it's not in use. Input method, automatic, general, browse mode, find mode. Change it all you want to. That looks good to me. Okay, guys. So now if we exit the layout and we look at it, ta-da, pretty cool, huh? But I did want to show you really quick how to make a really cool, how to make some really cool boxes, how to make some really cool things. And I'm going to use the directory button for that. And you guys can you can follow me, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do the way that I do it, but I just want to show you how to make things pretty cool. So I'm going to get rid of the name first, because we don't really care about the name right now. And the appearance, and we want to make it a solid color, and you can put a picture behind it if you want to. You can do pretty much anything that your heart desires. But I do want the line to be a much lighter color. And no shadows. Don't want any shadows. Okay. And now I'm going to go over here to my object. And you can get like rounded rectangle or oval, right? So I'm going to select an oval. And the thing is you can select, if you look at that, you can see exactly what size it is. Do you see what I'm saying? Exactly what size it is. So if you want it to be exactly the right size, then you have to make it exactly the size that you want it to be. But this one is a little bit much. Right? Is that correct? Sometimes you wish that you had like a zoom thingy, like a zoom factor where you could just do it really cool, but okay. And now it's going to want to know, do you want a line around this? Sure we do. But we want our line to be yellow, or a lighter, much lighter color, or a much darker color. Red is a pretty cool line too. But I think we're going to go with a much lighter color of form of green. But that's not the end of our box. We can even create lines in our box, which is kind of cool. But I want to create, come on, a rounded rectangle. And what the rounded rectangle does for me is it allows me to, we could put like print in there or whatever, or not. You don't have to. And the line is none. So now it just kind of took that out. Just going to open it up, made it kind of cool looking. You guys see that? Kind of cool looking. And you can take this inner circle, copy, which is copy C, and then click off, copy V, make it a little bit smaller. Get it right dead in the center, just like that. And now you can see that it's like it's got detail to it. So it's kind of a really cool detailed button. And if we increase, because you can increase, you can go like this and increase the size so you can see what you're doing better, more. But it's kind of funny because that one is set perfectly in the center, and it says this one is not set perfectly in the center. But it is set perfectly in the center. And you can overlay them too. So you can say, you know, if you wanted like this one to have lines on it, you could have this one have lines on it, or you could not have this one have lines on it. but it actually looks pretty cool when you actually get it done. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because I think it's too big for, there we go. So that should be correct. Kind of a neat looking button thing. And then we can take like a line and just draw a line wherever we want. Just kind of cool. But horizontal, 0 point. See how it's like 0 point? And we want that line to be a red color. Okay. Click off. Click on. There we go. Now once you've created this button, and let's say I want to do some text, right? So I'm going to put text in there, and this text is directory. Gosh, I think my fingers are just giant. Directory. Got to click off of it in order to make changes to it. 24. And now let's decrease our size so we can actually go back to where we were. So voila. I mean, how pretty is that? It's pretty cool. The best thing to do is not to use the word, not to use directory or whatever on it. And then you can copy and paste this button because it doesn't do anything right now, right? So copying and pasting is fine. We're gold there. But if you do something with it, if you tell it to do something, don't copy and paste it. Don't copy and paste it. Okay? So this you're okay with. But you can now duplicate this button and then just change the colors. So I can take this and delete this one and delete this one and delete this one. I can highlight all of it, hold the control button down, come on, I had it just right. There we go. Come on. Wow. It's not going to give up easily, is it? There we go. And we will get this one in its place, and we will get the colors, our colors right, guys, for everyone, because we will make it beautiful by the time it is done. So next time we'll finish this. Of course, this is pretty much done. I'm just showing you guys some different techniques, some different pretty things that you can do to really pop, to really make your register look super, super professional, make it look really good. So when you're showing it off to your customers saying, look at what I did, you know, they will be able to see that, and they'll be able to understand that you took your time, that you care about it, that it means something to you. So until next time, guys, my name's Timothy Haight, and as the YouTube channel, whatever, please hit the like button for me. I appreciate it. I appreciate all your guys' subscriptions. You guys are wonderful. I just hope that I'm helping you. I hope that I am able to make this work for you guys. This is a system that I use in my stores, and it works beautifully. I haven't had any issues at all. And I keep track of thousands of products and thousands of sales, and it works just fine for me and my people. So Let me know in the comments if you guys need anything special or you need any questions answered. There were no questions from last week other than one of my good friends telling me, please keep this right on track. Don't secretly go in and do anything without showing us what you're doing. And I'm not, but I will. These buttons, I'm gonna make the buttons look good. So by the time you guys come back, these buttons will look amazing. See you guys next week. Let me know what's going on. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.